In this video, you'll find out how to create all kinds of unique pattern designs very easily in Photoshop using gradients. This is for PC and Mac. And you can use this to create all kinds of textures, backgrounds, overlays. And the first thing we need to do is create a gradient. Just go over here and set the gradient tool. Now I'm using a classic gradient, and also I'm using a very basic brown and blue design. And I'm applying it using linear and difference. You can see the result there. Also, apply it again, but I'm going upwards and downwards now to create something like this. And you can, of course, vary it in all kinds of ways. And, of course, the gradients you use and also the different lengths and origin points will vary the gradient you get. So I've got this design. Now I want to create a pattern from this. Well, I could use the entire design, perfectly reasonable. You can always go to Edit and down there to Define Pattern. But also what you can do is you can select part of it. And I'm just going to go over here, elliptical marquee tool. So elliptical marquee tool and select this area. Now the one thing you'll notice, if you go now to define pattern, it won't let you do it. So if you go here, edit and down to define pattern, it's a slightly annoying feature of Photoshop, but that's the way it works. But what you can do is edit and copy, edit and then paste. Now you can see you've got a layer. Go to this one, the background, and just deselect that. Then go back here and rectangular marquee tool. Now you could use define pattern now and it will select this design, but you'll get all this area around it, which is not ideal. So I'm just going to quickly use a selection, and there's no feather applied to this. That doesn't work with define pattern. You need to have that like that. So edit and then down to define pattern. So define pattern, and it will use that design there. Click OK. And then deselect. I don't need that at the moment. I could use it later. But the key thing is to make certain you're using this background layer or any other layer, of course. So with this, I can now go to Edit and then Fill. I'm going to use that pattern. So here, you've got options for foreground, background, etc. But you can also select Pattern. So Pattern. And then you can select the pattern you just created. And here it is. Just this one. Now you can create literally any kind of design using this approach. You could also use images, type, etc. in this gradient fill design or pattern design from a gradient. Make certain the script is on and symmetry fill. Click OK and you get something like that with this elliptical design. And then you can see here I've got 7, set that to dilative, and I'm going with 91, 8 and also 1.25, and also I'm maximising the randomness. But you can vary this. So if you vary this, you can see what happens. It generates different designs very quickly just by dragging this and also dragging this as well. So again, literally all kinds of unique designs can be created just by doing that. And you can see the result there. Well, what you can also do is if I undo that and again go back here. Now, just so I can just see it actively, I've got that selected. I can now make certain with that layer selected, I can go to filters and I can go down and use some of the filters. Distort ones, twirl, ripple, all pretty good. Well, I'm going to go with wave. So wave, number of generators, I always like to put it at 1. I always find it if it's 5, 10, it always seems to be really excessive. So when it's 1, it makes it so much easier. I don't know why that isn't the default or particular way of setting that default. And then you can change this and you can see the preview. Now it's not updating here. It's a pity. You think by 2025 they would have updated this wave filter that it would actually update it here as well. And then you can click OK and it will generate the result you can see there. So click OK and you've got that. Now you might want to change this a bit. You might want to add a little bit more, and you can go here to layers. With this you can go down to effects, just click down there and maybe go with say drop shadow. Just subtle drop shadow like that. You might decide maybe not, or maybe bevel and emboss. So you can just go there and just change the depth and tweak it to your heart's content and click OK. So you've got that design. Now what you can also do is you can define this as a pattern as well. Again, go over here, make certain rectangular marquee tool selected and select this. And make certain you avoid going cutting through the shadows, because if you do that, you'll end up noticing that in the end result. That layer selected, so I can now go edit and define pattern. and you can see design there, and it's pattern 28. Obviously it will vary for you. Give it a name if you want, a wave design, and click OK. Then select and deselect. I don't want that selection because the pattern will be filling that. And then deselect that, select this again. Make certain that's visible. Make certain the actual layer is selected. Just making it visible without actually selecting it is no use whatsoever. Then go to Edit and then Fill. And then you can go down here to Pattern again. Make certain it's Pattern. Click here, select that new one. And here it is. And then make certain the script is on. And also blend mode, you can set that to difference or try out other ones, especially when you've got a nice gradient background there. And then click OK. And now you can see you've got this design. So literally from one very basic gradient, you've got all kinds of unique designs. And now this height and width really does make an impact. So you can change this, and you can see as you move that around, you get really all kinds of unique designs very quickly. Maybe something like that, sort of raised depth, sort of grain design. And I'm just going to click OK, and I'm going to fill it with that. And you can see all these kinds of results just from a very basic pattern design that I've defined earlier. And of course, what you can then do is filter, and then go stylize and oil paint. And I think oil paint's a great one, especially if you set it to 9.8, 9.7, etc. Make certain lighting isn't on. I don't really like resolved lighting. And you can see what happens. It smears it very nicely. Click OK. And you can apply it a couple of times if you want as well. So apply it a couple of times, then go to Image, Adjustments, maybe go to Levels. If you want to brighten it up, let's just move that across there, or use one of the other features there, and click OK. So you've got that. But also what you can do, you can use other filters. So filter, and you go down to stylize and find edges. And you get that sort of result, really weird and surreal sort of edge effect. Personally, I always like it the opposite. So image, adjustments, and then go down here and invert. And you can see that. Exactly the same as before. You can go image, maybe use levels, just brighten it up a bit. Always looks a bit too dark, and just go something like that. And if you want, you've still got access to oil paint, so you can apply that again as well. But also, you can use this as well as a great source of patterns. So simply go down there and maybe this time use one of these tools. There's lots of other tools, maybe this one. Selection brush, lasso tool. So just select an area like that. So you can just go for all kinds of random shapes, or use filters, of course. You can see if you do something like that. Very odd shape there. And you've got that selection. Exactly the same as before. Edit and copy. Edit and paste. Now, of course, it disappears. You can't see it. Let's just remove this other one. Don't need that anymore. And with this, again, you go to Effects. Go to Bevel and Emboss so you can actually see it. And there it is. Maybe this time's a bit extreme. So let's just reduce things down the size. You can see the result there. Maybe use some of these other ones as well. And maybe this time add a drop shadow. And then click OK. So this time, just move that so you can see now you've got this. And you can warp this as well. You've got this design, as long as it's selected, you can always go to Filters and then go maybe to Distort and use one of these ones. But in this case, I'm just going to go to, again, there, Rectangle Marquee, Edit, and then Define Pattern, and then click OK. And then select and deselect. Make certain you select the right one, deselect that, and make that visible again. Edit, and then Fill, and then use that new pattern as well. So you can see there, just selected, Symmetry Fill, and click OK. And you've got this design. And again, vary this. And you can see as you do that, all kinds of unique designs can be generated. And I'm just going to go with that one, click OK. And that's the result. And one good thing about this is you can go to Edit and Fill and apply it again. Click OK, maybe vary it, so you don't have to keep it exactly the same. Click OK, and it fills the entire design with that. And then Filter, and then Oil Paint, if you want to smear it again. And Image, Adjustments, and Levels again. Maybe just to brighten it up a bit, because so I think it just looks much nicer when you have it about there, and click OK. So that is a quick way of creating some unique, colourful designs very quickly as a pattern design or symmetrical design in Photoshop using a very basic gradient. Hope you found this of interest. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below. It's always great to hear from you. Will you be using this feature? What sort of things would you apply in this? Have you used this for maybe with type, with gradients, with images, all kinds of different things? Please check out the rest of the channel, and also please subscribe as well. Always adding new tutorials all the time. Also, a like or dislike, always appreciated. Bye.